Hello, my friends. It's Jana Eubank. It's been a while since I've created a scrapbook process video for YouTube, and so I am back. I'm excited. I've been a subscriber to Hip Kit Club for the entire year, but can you believe that this is the first time I've pulled out my kits? I've just been super busy, but I had a few days off this week to play and do some things on my own, so I decided to pull out my November 2024 Mistletoe Magic Kit from Hip Kit Club, and I'm going to create a page today. In fact, I've actually printed out 3 sets of photos to scrapbook this week, and so I'm going to be uploading some process videos over the next week. I hope you enjoy them. So this first one is some photos of my kids on Christmas morning, of course, from, oh my gosh, this is I think 2016 or 2017, so it's been a while. I have these 4 photos of my kids sitting by their piles of presents, and I decided to print them all out at the same size, and I'm going to lay them on my scrapbook background in kind of a brick pattern where they're offset from each other in these 2 rows. Now, I loved the way that they looked against this green confetti dot paper, and so I decided to cut 2 strips of this paper to anchor these rows of photos. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm just cutting them to about 3 or 3.5 inches high, and I think about 8 inches wide. And I decided to just tear each of the ends of those strips, leaving some space on opposite ends for some embellishment clusters. So on the top row, I'm going to put that Christmas tree on the right hand side, and then on the bottom row, I just couldn't resist adding this little Santa Claus. Isn't he cute? He has these little Scandinavian details on his Santa suit, and then I'm popping in that notebook paper as a spot for journaling. I've also picked out this die cut that says Merry Memories to be my title for this page. So this is where I'm going to start. I loved the way the green looked against that gingerbread cardstock, and now I decided to just go back to the pattern paper and pick out a few more patterns to layer up as strips behind these 2 photo strips. I have that holly paper there, and then I also grabbed that bright red large dot. It kind of has these really cute hand-drawn dots. I also spotted this branding strip on another paper with this dark green floral, and I thought that would make a good contrast between those 2 patterns. So I'm going to lay these out on my gingerbread cardstock again and just see how this is looking. And I'm just going to play with the arrangement here. I can't quite decide if I want the red on the bottom, in the middle, towards the top, that kind of thing. So I'm just going to play with it. After looking at it for a moment, I decide that I want that red strip to go across the center. And then I just loved the brightness of that holly paper so much that I decide to go back to my pattern paper and bring in another pattern that has a bit of brightness to it to go above the other strips. So I decide to go with this light blush paper that has these little berry sprigs on it, and I think that's really cute. So I try those on for size, and I decide, I don't know that I like that the strips are going all the way to the edges, so I decide to cut down the 2 brighter strips to about 10 inches wide so that you can see a bit of that gingerbread cardstock flanking or bordering on the sides of the strips. So I will still keep that large red dot and the green strip going edge to edge, but the other 2 brighter strips, I'm going to bring them in a little bit. So I'm just going to stack these back into place and then start putting down my embellishments. And I haven't adhered anything yet. I'm still just kind of getting a feel for how the base of this layout is going to go. But at this point, I really like how it looks. So I'm going to adhere these things into place. So I'm looking at this. I know I'm going to put, again, that notebook paper towards the left with the Santa. And then I'm going to do another embellishment cluster opposite of the page on the right-hand side. And then my title will go out the top. This is naturally falling into a visual triangle where I'm creating these 3 embellishment clusters throughout my page that are also just surrounding my photos and keeping your eyes moving through those photos. So I like the way that that looks, and now I'm going to decide what I want to do next. I'm going to pop up a few of these items with some thin foam tape, ink the edges with some light gray ink, and then I will come back to it. Now, usually when I start an embellishment cluster, I always pick my focal point image first. So in this case, I got the Santa and the Christmas tree. Then I go back to my other die cuts and try to find some supporting elements or even a base shape. So here I'm just kind of flipping through the chipboard die cuts here to see what I think. I really like this yellow circle that says Holiday Fun, and it calls out that yellow color from the top of the Christmas tree. So I thought, okay, I'm going to sprinkle that yellow color around the page in a few places. So I popped that holiday fun circle up by the title, and then later I'm going to look for something yellow to add down in that cluster with the Santa. Now to the right of the Christmas tree, I want to find another foundational piece to place next to it. You know, I have that notebook paper by the Santa, so I'm looking for something similar to go over by the Christmas tree. I try on a few different die cuts from the cardstock die cuts from the embellishment kit, but I settle on this gold framed circle or gold edge circle that was found in the Pocket Life kit. I think that's perfect, and I like the round shape. It repeats that round shape of the circle chipboard piece that I put up by the title, and also that yellow color. While I'm flipping through embellishments looking for some more supporting images, I found that yellow edged chipboard piece that says Merry Christmas to all, and I figured that would be a great one, or a great piece to put down by the Santa Claus. And then I proceeded to find these 3 cardstock die cuts that are gifts to put by the Christmas tree, and then I also added the 3rd one down by the Santa. So I'm playing with the arrangement here, and I'm looking for something else to add with those 2 gifts over by the Christmas tree. I just like the rule of odds, and those 2 trees kind of look a little lonely. So I'm thinking about that for a second, and while I'm thinking about it, I decide, you know what, I think I want to add some stamping on this page. This month, there was, as an add-on, there were these Fair Isle border stamps that have these cute little sweater patterns on them, and I thought it would be really cute to add that across the top and bottom of these paper strips that I have on the background. So I used some undo to pull up the pieces that I had placed already across the top, and then I'm going to use some green ink and this zigzaggy little sweater looking pattern to stamp across the top and the bottom. So I'll just take a minute to do that. Now the length of this stamp ended up being perfect, where I could just overlap it slightly and then it fit exactly in that. It's not 10 inches, it's about 11 inches on those paper strips in the background. So I'll just take a minute to do that. And the ink I'm using is a bright green ink. Sorry about my head here in the shot. Sometimes you just gotta get a really good view, especially when you're doing stamping, right? There's no redoing the stamping. In fact, a lot of times I shy away from doing stamping on a page because there's no going back. I mean, I guess if you don't like it, right, you could cover it up with a branding strip or a scallop border or something like that. So you know what? Today I'm going to just go for it. And I love the way that it looks. I love the little detail that it adds. And of course, I love the little sweater pattern. It's so, so cute. I can't wait to play with these stamps again. All right, so we're going to keep moving forward, and let's see what I do here next. I think I just put back the pieces that I already have in place or that I've already picked out, and then I'm going to move forward from there. So I do decide, for a minute I was struggling on how much of Santa I wanted to cover up with that yellow edged phrase there at the bottom, but I decided, you know, I'm just going to put it just barely over his feet, and then I'm going to overlap it over the sweater pattern, kind of breaking that sweater pattern and just giving a bit of variety there. So I will do the same thing with the title, you know, so you don't have too many straight edges going on in your design. And then I'm just going to adhere everything in place. So we'll take a minute to do that. Now, something I noticed at this point is that I had 2 round elements going on in 2 of my clusters. I had the round yellow circle next to my title, and then I had the round journal element going on in the cluster by the Christmas tree. So I decided I needed something round in that bottom cluster. I went to the round chipboard stickers that came in the main kit and found that cute little snowman there that I added next to Santa. Next, I went over to the Puffy stickers. I was still looking for something to add to next to the presents by the Christmas tree, and I found the cutest little stack of presents with a sleeping kitty on top, which was perfect. I looked over those Puffy stickers and decided to also add a little gingerbread man next to the present in the bottom, and then I found another little present with a little bit of blue on there, repeating the blue color that's both in the title and the kitty stack of presents into that bottom cluster. I love the puffy texture. I realize I have puffy texture in 2 of my clusters, so I decided to add a few of those puffy stars up by the title to continue that puffy texture up to the top of the page. Now I do end up taking those off later on, and I'll explain that a little bit when I come back. But I'm going to bounce back over to the chipboard here, and I'm going to try on a few phrases next to this Christmas tree. I just felt like there needed to be some words over there. We have some words in the title cluster, we have some words at the bottom, and so I wanted to add some words here next to the Christmas tree. I try on a few different things, a few different phrases. I even bring in some of the journaling pieces, thinking, okay, maybe I'll add another spot for journaling or for stamping a phrase, but I do end up settling on that wavy brown piece that I tried at the beginning. So we'll go back to that and just tuck that in. Okay, I'm still looking around here for some pieces to tuck in, or just anything else I might want to add. I love these floral stickers that are in the cardstock stickers, and I thought, I've got that stocking on the left side of my title here, and I want to balance it with a little something on the right. So I find this red single flower, and I decide to just tuck that in under that mistletoe sprig or leaf sprig that's on the right side of the title. And I like that because it's bringing the red color over to that side of the title. Next, I'm going to pull out the pocket life stamps, and I'm going to add a phrase or stamp a phrase here at the top of my notebook journaling piece. So I decide on the phrase that says this holiday season, and I do that in the same green ink that I used with the sweater borders that I at the top and bottom of the page, and I really like how that looks. So here's where I bring in some more of those puffy stars, and as I'm placing them, I decide that I don't know if I really like the multicolors that are going on with the puffy stars. Like, it's really cute, but I want to I think I'm going to stamp these stars instead. There's a tiny little star on the Pocket Life stamp set, so I go back to that, and I decide that I'm going to use some bright red ink, and I'm going to stamp those around the page. Again, it's a little nerve-wracking, right, to always stamp those stars, but I just go for it. I really like that I did this. I love the red against that gingerbread cardstock background. You kind of see me wiping my block before I stamp each time, and that's because when I'm stamping over on that little ink pad, some of the ink is transferring to the background of the acrylic block, and I'm afraid that it's going to transfer onto the other die cuts and things that are around the areas that I'm stamping on. So I'm just making sure to wipe off that acrylic block before touching the stamp to my page. So I'll just sprinkle these on here, and I think that's kind of the finishing touch here. Now I do go to my stash and find some bitty gems, some little tiny gems to accent the centers of each of these red stars, just to add a little bit of sparkle and shine. I think every layout needs a little bit of sparkle, whether that's in the form of enamel dots or gems or metal, right? So I will go back and do that off camera. Now I'm just looking over my page and deciding that there's this little hole next to the left side of the tree. So I decide to tuck in that berry sprig. It repeats the berry sprig that's at the top of that page, and that felt really good to me. And it felt like, yep, this page is finished. I love the way that it looks. So here's one last look at the layout before I add any journal elements. Again, this is the November 2024 Mistletoe Memories Kit from Hip Kit Club. It was such a blast to play with. Be sure to check back. I'll be sharing 2 more layouts with this kit throughout the coming week. All right, friends, thanks for joining me. We'll see you again soon.